Hello dear students, this side Kamna ma'am, your science teacher. Welcome back to my fifth video on chapter 12 nutrition in animals. So first let's have a short recap of the last session. So in the last session we learnt about pharynx. It is the part of the gut which connect the buccal cavity to the esophagus and the larynx, and it propel the food into the esophagus. And then esophagus, it is a narrow muscular tube connecting the pharynx with the stomach. It helps in transport of food into the stomach. Then I explain you about stomach. Stomach help in chemical breakdown of food via acid and enzyme. Mechanical breakdown via muscular contraction also take place here. And today in this video we will cover small intestine and large intestine. So let's start our topic. Small intestine. It consists of three parts: U-shaped duodenum, the jejunum and the much coiled ileum. Duodenum, it is the first section which connect to the pyloric sphincter of the stomach. Jejunum, it is the middle section of the small intestine. Ileum, it is the final section of the small intestine that empties into the large intestine. The small intestine is the longest part of the digestive system. It is about 6 meters long in an adult human. And the lining of the walls of the small intestine contains glands which secrete digestive enzyme. In addition to this, its wall is also adapted to absorb digested food products and water. Actually, the internal wall of small intestine has number of finger-like projection known as villi. Now, what is the role of villi here? Their role is to increase the surface area for absorption of digested food. The walls of the small intestine are specialized to absorb the nutrients from the digested food into the bloodstream. The blood then delivers these nutrients to all parts of the body, or we can say to each and every cell. And in cells, nutrients are incorporated into cell components and used here to provide energy for growth and repairment. This is known as assimilation. For example, glucose, which is the final product of carbohydrate digestion. It is broken down into carbon dioxide and water in cells with the help of oxygen to release energy. And amino acid are used for repairing worn out cells and tissue. And fatty acids and glycerol act as energy reserves and are stored there for further use. And digestion in small intestine is also carried out with the help of secretions from liver and pancreas. Liver is a deep reddish brown in color, and it is situated on the right side of the abdominal cavity, beneath the diaphragm and on the top of the stomach. The liver secretes a bitter greenish brown alkaline fluid known as bile, which help in digestion of fats. It breaks down the fat into fatty acid in the small intestine during digestion. And bile is stored in an organ known as gallbladder. It is a small hollow pear-shaped organ lies beneath the liver, where bile is stored and concentrated before it is released into the small intestine. Next is pancreas. It is about 6 inches long, located in the abdomen behind the stomach. It is shaped like a flat pear. Pancreas secretes a thick, colorless, very alkaline fluid known as pancreatic juice. It helps in the breakdown of carbohydrates into sugar, protein into amino acid, and fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Thus, the digestion of various components of food is completed in the small intestine, and the undigested and unabsorbed food is sent to the large intestine. Next is get it right. Here information regarding gallstones is given that they are not really stones, they are pieces of solid material formed in gallbladder, and most of the gallstones are actually cholesterol gallstone. Now what is cholesterol? It is a type of fat found in our blood. Now cholesterol gallstone are generally produced due to the malfunctioning of liver. It happens when our liver produces more cholesterol than our bile juice can dissolve it. Next is cyberlink. Here information regarding ulcers are given. Now what are ulcers? Ulcers are an open sores on an external or internal surface of the body caused by a break in the skin or mucous membrane which fail to heal. If I talk about intestinal ulcers, these are caused by one of the following reasons. First is an infection with the bacterium Helicobacter pylori, also known as H. pylori. Second is long-term use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. It is a class of painkillers like aspirin, ibuprofen, etc. Third is excess stomach acidity. Now, symptoms of ulcer include pain in the stomach, weight loss, vomiting, heartburn, which is a burning sensation in the chest. And treatment for intestinal ulcer depend on cause. Usually, treatment will involve killing the H. pylori bacterium if present with antibiotics like amoxicillin, tetracycline, etc., eliminating or reducing the use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs if possible, and medication to decrease acid production. Next topic is large intestine. The large intestine is the final section of the gastrointestinal tract. The large intestine is much shorter than small intestine, only about 1.5 meter long. Then why it is called large? Because it is much wider or broader than small intestine. That's why it is called large intestine. It is a reddish brown in color. It consists of colon and rectum. Now what is the function of colon and rectum here? The main function of colon is to absorb the water and mineral salts from the undigested food material. And the main function of rectum is to store feces temporarily. And when the rectum contracts, the feces are expelled through the anus. And this process is known as egestion. And no digestion occurs in the large intestine. Next is appendix. Appendix is a pouch-like structure which is present at the junction of the small intestine and large intestine. It doesn't play any role in the digestion of food. But when appendix become infected, swollen and filled with pus, then it causes appendicitis. Appendicitis causes pain in our lower right abdomen. It requires immediate medical treatment. If left untreated, it can cause our appendix to rupture. This can be serious and even fatal complication. To treat appendicitis, doctor use a type of surgery known as appendectomy. During this procedure, they will remove our appendix. Next is explore. Here information regarding two hormones are given, insulin and glucagon. These hormones are secreted by pancreas. They play an important role in controlling the concentration of glucose in blood and carbohydrate metabolism. Now here is one question for you. Why should the concentration of glucose in the blood be controlled? And what is the role of insulin in controlling it? Actually, the concentration of glucose in the blood be controlled in order to maintain energy level and also to control the water potential of blood. Role of insulin is to control the blood sugar level in body by balancing the concentration of glucose in blood. So that's all for today. Now I have prepared few in between questions for you. Copy them in your notebook. Go through the topic again. Read it properly to make it more clear. Tomorrow we will start the new topic, nutrition in ruminants. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe and keep learning.